Chosen one. Stop scrolling for a moment. Heaven has pressed pause on everything around you because this message carries your name. You are not here by chance. This is divine alignment. On the night of December 8, while the world slept, heaven leaned close. You thought you were alone, whispering prayers that dissolved into silence. But God saw you. He saw the shaking of your hands, the heaviness in your heart, and the strength it took just to breathe through another night. You tried to be strong for everyone else. Didn't you? You smiled when your soul was trembling. You carried burdens that were never meant for one person to carry. And when you wondered if anyone noticed, heaven did. December 8 was not just another date on the calendar, it was a heavenly timestamp. Angels marked it as the night your silent battle reached the throne of God. You see, not every war is loud. Not every victory is visible. There are battles fought behind closed doors, in tears, in whispers, in the quiet surrender of a weary heart. God saw yours. Every sigh, every tear, every time you said, "I can't do this anymore," and still got up the next morning. That was not weakness, that was divine resilience. Heaven took record of your endurance. You thought you were forgotten, but your name echoed in heavenly courts. While you cried, heaven wrote. When you doubted, heaven waited. When you almost gave up, heaven declared, "Do not let go, redemption is near." And now, here you are, reading this message not by coincidence, but by divine coordination. The same God who watched you weep in silence has sent word that your season of hiding is ending. The night you thought no one noticed, heaven noticed. Listen, chosen one, the nights you walked alone were never empty. There were unseen footsteps beside you. There was an angel assigned to collect your tears and deliver them as prayers before the throne. Every time you whispered, "Lord, please see me," he did. And tonight, he answers back, "I saw you then, and I see you now." Your pain was not wasted. Every unanswered prayer, every delayed promise, every moment you felt unseen, it was all leading to this moment of divine recognition. God is saying, "I've watched the battle. I've marked the date. I've counted the tears. Now, your reward begins." You might ask, why December 8? Because heaven's timing is never random. December 8 became the intersection of your endurance and God's remembrance. It was the night mercy and justice met on your behalf. Remember, the world may overlook the quiet warriors, but heaven never does. You are one of them, the ones who fight unseen battles, the ones who pray when no one else believes, the ones who carry faith like fire in the dark. Heaven has been waiting for this very moment to tell you you have been seen, and you are about to be rewarded. As the psalmist once wrote, in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 15, "The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, his ears are attentive to their cry." Heaven has not been deaf to your pain, nor blind to your endurance. God's gaze has been fixed upon you, even in your lowest valley. The same hand that wrote your suffering into the story will now write your victory. You are entering a divine reversal where what was hidden will be honored, what was painful will be purposeful, and what was delayed will be delivered. This is not a prediction, this is a decree. Heaven has spoken your name in the courts of destiny. On December 8, your record was sealed, and heaven's announcement was made. The time of reward has begun. Now, I want you to pause and let that sink in. The same God who saw your tears has prepared a table before you. The same God who witnessed your pain is now orchestrating your promotion. Do not rush past this moment, receive it. This is divine confirmation that everything you have endured has been seen, remembered, and redeemed. If this word resonates in your spirit, if your heart feels the fire of recognition, then act on it. Not for me, but as a prophetic act of agreement with heaven's timing. Like, share, and comment below to declare your faith in what God is doing. Let this be your public amen to heaven's private declaration. Type the number 888 inches the comments as a prophetic symbol representing new beginnings, divine alignment, and heaven's confirmation that your reward begins now. Let the world know that you refuse to be silent about the God who saw your silent battle. This is your sign. December 8 was not the end of your breaking, it was the beginning of your breakthrough. The same heaven that watched you cry is now watching you rise. And the world will soon see what heaven has already seen, that you were chosen all along. You remember the nights when your pillow became your only confidant, don't you? Chosen one, the moments when words refused to form, yet your heart screamed louder than any language could. You tried to pray, but sometimes all that came out were tears. What you didn't know is that heaven speaks fluent tears. In the silence where you thought God had turned away, He was listening more closely than ever. Every drop that fell from your eyes was not wasted. It was a sacred message, written in liquid form, carrying your pain to heaven's courts. Tears are strange things. They seem small, invisible once they dry. But in the spirit, they are weighty. Each one carries memory, emotion, faith, and surrender. Your tears spoke when your voice trembled. They said, I still trust you. They said, even when I don't understand, I will not let go. They said, I am tired, but I still believe, and God, in His mercy, answered. He said, I see everyone. I record them all. When you wept over disappointments that no one else cared to notice, angels stood guard, listening to your cries. When you walked through days pretending you were fine, the Spirit interceded for you with groans too deep for words. You didn't know it, but your tears were forming a testimony, one that would speak for you when the time was right. Heaven does not forget those who cry in faith. The earth may ignore tears, but heaven treasures them like pearls. There were moments when you asked, Lord, why me? Why do I have to carry this? Why can't anyone see what I'm going through? But what you saw as loneliness was actually divine intimacy. God separated you, not to punish you, but to speak to you privately. He knew that if others heard what He was revealing in your pain, they wouldn't understand it. So He hid you, like a precious seed planted in darkness, so that when you emerged, no one could deny that it was His hand that raised you. Beloved, your tears were not weakness, they were worship. The enemy hoped your pain would make you silent, but instead, your tears became prayers. They reached the highest heaven and moved the heart of God Himself. There is a reason why your spirit feels different now. Something shifted when you chose to keep believing, even while weeping. You proved that your faith is not dependent on comfort, but on covenant. Do you remember those nights when you whispered, Lord, please just give me peace? Peace didn't always come instantly, but strength did. That strength was not your own. It was the echo of heaven's response to your tears. You were never abandoned. You were being fortified. Heaven turned every tear into fuel, every sigh into strategy, every moment of pain into preparation. What you thought was the end was actually the process of purification. There is a divine mystery in your weeping. Your tears became seeds, and the soil they fell into was sacred. In due season, those tears will bloom into joy, and you will recognize that nothing was wasted. The same places where you cried will one day become altars of thanksgiving. God will cause laughter to rise from the same lips that once trembled in pain. You may not understand it now, but the heavenly record is clear. Your tears built the bridge to your breakthrough. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8. You have kept count of my tossings. You put my tears in your bottle. They are recorded. Those words are not poetry, they are evidence. Every tear you shed is already stored, counted, remembered. There is a divine ledger where nothing you've suffered has gone unnoticed. The same God who numbered your tears has also numbered your days of joy to come. There will be a day when you will look back and realize why it had to happen this way. The truth is, you were never crying alone. The Holy Spirit was there in every sob, turning your pain into power. Every tear invited the presence of heaven closer. Every moment of surrender deepened your capacity to carry divine glory. You thought you were breaking, but you were being reshaped, refined into someone who knows the depth of compassion, the weight of faith, and the power of perseverance. And now, your soul carries a fragrance that only comes from endurance. You are softer, yet stronger, quieter, yet more powerful. Your tears have washed away the illusions that once held you captive. What remains is authenticity, pure, surrendered, anointed authenticity. That is the real treasure God was after all along. So, let this truth settle in you. God did not ignore your tears. He translated them into testimony. What was once your cry will become your calling. And when the appointed time arrives, those very tears will testify before heaven and earth that you never gave up, that you trusted even in silence, and that faith pure, tear-stained faith is what heaven rewards most deeply. There were seasons, chosen one, when the weight upon your shoulders felt unbearable. You carried responsibilities that no one else could understand, quietly bearing burdens while pretending everything was fine. You smiled when you wanted to cry. You served others while your own heart bled. You kept going even when the world seemed to move forward without you. What no one saw was the invisible strength it took to keep standing. Every heavy night, every invisible wound, every silent moment of exhaustion, it all mattered. Heaven saw you. The weight you carried was not a curse, but a calling. God was not punishing you, He was preparing you. The pressure was meant to forge endurance. The loneliness meant to deepen intimacy with Him. And the struggle meant to awaken purpose. When you felt isolated, it wasn't rejection, it was refinement. God often hides His chosen ones until they are ready to carry the glory attached to their name. Like gold in the fire, you were refined through trials, so that when your time comes, your light would not flicker under pressure. You were never abandoned, you were being developed. Do you remember the moments when you wanted to let go, the times when you whispered, "God, I can't do this anymore"? You weren't weak, you were honest. And heaven values honesty far more than perfection. Your endurance in those moments was not because you had strength, but because grace carried you, even when you didn't realize it. Divine hands were holding you up. You see, the weight was necessary. Without it, you would never have discovered your true spiritual muscles. God trusted you with pressure because he saw the warrior within you long before you saw it yourself. What others called hardship, heaven called training. You were being prepared to stand in places others couldn't, to carry assignments others weren't built for. There is something holy about those who keep walking under weight. You learn to pray from your pain, to love from your losses, and to trust without proof. You are not ordinary, you are battle-tested. Every scar you carry is not shame, but certification that you survived what was designed to destroy you. Heaven watched as you carried emotional and spiritual loads silently. You held it together for your family, for your calling, for your faith. And even though you felt invisible, you were seen by the one who matters most. God has not forgotten the nights when you said, "I'll keep going, even if it hurts." He has written them into your story as proof of your loyalty to heaven's mission. It's hard to understand, but what broke you also built you. The very weight that crushed your spirit for a season became the foundation of your strength. Now, you stand taller, not because life became easier, but because your faith became deeper. You learned that peace is not the absence of burden, but the presence of purpose. Heaven has a unique way of turning heaviness into holiness. Every ache you felt has a purpose attached. Every tear carried divine data. God used pain to teach you discernment, disappointment to sharpen your wisdom, and pressure to activate your authority. You were not buried, you were being planted. We are reminded through the writings of Matthew. In the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That rest is not just physical, it is the peace of knowing that you are carried by the Creator himself. He sees you, he knows you, and he is lifting the weight that once threatened to crush you. Now, breathe. The season of survival is giving way to the season of revival. You will soon look back and realize that the burdens you carried were blueprints for blessings. Every heavy moment taught you resilience. Every closed door preserved your purity. Every delay prepared you for divine acceleration. And right here, right now, you are standing at the threshold of release. Heaven has declared that the weight you carried will now become the wings that lift you. Your story will inspire others who are still in the fire, wondering if God sees them. You will be living proof that he does. If this message stirs something deep within you, if your spirit recognizes these words as truth, then take a moment and respond. Comment below, "I receive strength." Do not type it out of habit. Type it as a declaration. When you write those 3 words, you are aligning your voice with heaven's decree. You are saying, "God, I accept the strength you've been building in me through every trial." You are declaring that you will no longer see your burden as punishment, but as preparation. Every word you release in faith becomes a seed in the Spirit. So, let your comment be your prophetic act today, your public declaration that the weight that once broke you has now become the foundation of your anointing. The strength that rises from your surrender will carry you into the next dimension of your calling. There are moments in time when heaven itself seems to pause, when the unseen realm takes notice of the unseen ones. December 8 was one of those moments for you. Chosen one. While the world went about its business, heaven leaned in. The angels stopped their flight, and the book of remembrance was opened. That night, your endurance, your obedience, your quiet faith were written into eternity's records. You may not have felt anything remarkable. Perhaps it was an ordinary night filled with ordinary pain. But in heaven's court, it was far from ordinary. It was sacred. Every act of perseverance you displayed, every time you resisted bitterness, every time you chose forgiveness instead of revenge, it was recorded. You didn't realize it then, but the Spirit was watching closely, writing your name into history's divine archive. There is a holy mystery about God's timing. We often think He is silent, but in the silence, He is documenting. Heaven keeps meticulous records of faith, especially the kind that survives in the dark. Your faith, tested and tried, has not been ignored. On December 8, it was acknowledged, sealed, and stored as evidence of loyalty. When the scroll was opened, heaven remembered not only your victories, but also your tears. The angels stood witness to your steadfastness, your prayers that rose even when answers seemed delayed. There are some prayers that don't vanish. They circulate in heaven like incense until the appointed moment arrives. That moment, chosen one, began the night heaven paused for you. You must understand, God's remembrance is not passive, it is purposeful. When He remembers, He acts. Every time Scripture mentions that God remembered, a miracle followed. When He remembered Noah, the flood receded. When He remembered Hannah, a child was born. When He remembered you, something in the unseen shifted forever. In that divine pause, the Father looked upon you and said, "Enough testing, it is time to reward." The angels who once observed your suffering were reassigned no longer to guard your endurance, but to prepare your elevation. Heaven's pause was heaven's preparation. There is no such thing as wasted endurance. The waiting, the weeping, the wondering, all of it has weight. You were not being ignored, you were being watched. Every choice you made to keep believing when nothing made sense became evidence of faith strong enough to move mountains. And faith like that never expires, it matures. Even now, the record of that night remains open. Heaven continues to write chapters of your faith story. Each act of obedience, each whisper of yes to God's will, adds another line to that divine document. One day, when heaven's archives are revealed, your name will be listed among those who stood firm when everything shook. There is something breathtaking about this thought that the Creator of the universe stopped time in eternity's flow to honor the faith of one of His children. You may feel small on earth, but in heaven, your name carries weight. The sound of your prayers, even your quiet sighs, has authority because it is backed by endurance written in heaven's own ink. As the prophet wrote centuries ago, in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16, a scroll of remembrance was written in His presence concerning those who feared the Lord and honored His name. This was not just ancient history, it is your story. You are among those who fear the Lord, who honor His name when it would have been easier to give up. And because of that, heaven has taken notice. You did not realize it, but that holy record is now a legal document in the spiritual realm. It authorizes your breakthrough. It carries the seal of divine approval that cannot be reversed. Everything that was delayed because of spiritual opposition now has permission to move forward. Heaven's pause became heaven's signature on your destiny. There will come a time, soon, when the evidence of your faith will become visible. The same people who doubted your resilience will witness the results of your perseverance. The same situations that once resisted you will now recognize you. The reward is not simply material, it is the unveiling of purpose, the fulfillment of promise, the manifestation of divine favor. So walk boldly. Chosen one, you do not walk alone or unnoticed. Your story has been documented, your loyalty validated, your pain remembered. Heaven's archive testifies on your behalf. And whenever you doubt that your efforts matter, remember that a scroll exists, one written by angelic hands, signed by divine authority, declaring, "This one remained faithful." You may not hear applause on earth, but heaven's applause still echoes. The pause that happened on December 8 was not a delay, it was an acknowledgement. The book of remembrance has your name written in light. You are part of a lineage of the remembered, the redeemed, and the rewarded. And now, that record will speak for you in every realm, seen and unseen, until the fulfillment of everything God has promised. Before the sun rose on December 9, the atmosphere in the unseen realm shifted. What you could not see with your eyes was already in motion. The night before, angels were dispatched on your behalf, assigned, named, and released under heaven's authority. Their mission was specific to deliver what belongs to you, not a generic blessing, but one written with your name in fire. You thought heaven was silent, but it was strategic. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for an angelic visitation of purpose. Angels are not distant myths, they are heaven's messengers, carriers of divine justice and restoration. You have walked through a season where unseen warfare surrounded you, and yet you are still here. That survival was not accidental, it was angelic intervention. You didn't even realize how many arrows were deflected, how many dangers were dissolved before they could touch you. Every near miss, every sudden peace in chaos, every unexplainable comfort in pain, it was evidence that you were guarded. The night heaven assigned those angels. It wasn't just about protection, it was about positioning. You have entered the stage of divine orchestration, where the unseen aligns so the visible can shift. The angels sent to your case are not idle, they move like wind. Silent but unstoppable, they have already begun clearing paths, softening hearts, and unlocking doors that once refused to open. There are conversations happening about you in rooms you've never entered, and your name is being spoken by people you've never met. The favor you've prayed for is now moving through angelic delivery systems. You must understand, chosen one, heaven's angels are not sent randomly, they are dispatched in response to divine timing. You endured long enough. You obeyed long enough. And now heaven is responding. Just as Daniel waited 21 days for his answer, while an angel fought through spiritual resistance. Your prayers have been contending in the invisible realm. But unlike before, the resistance has broken. The way is open. Your angels are arriving. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Psalms. In the book of Psalms, chapter 91, verse 11, He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. This is not poetic reassurance, it is divine legislation. God Himself has commanded angelic movement on your behalf. These are not fragile guardians, They are warriors of light, unstoppable agents of divine will. They carry the very decree that heaven spoke over your name on December 8. There's a reason you've been feeling shifts in your spirit, moments of peace amid pressure, sudden strength after exhaustion. That is angelic presence. The same way you can feel warmth when sunlight touches your skin. You can sense heaven's presence when divine messengers draw near. They carry the fragrance of obedience, the weight of holiness, the vibration of heaven's heartbeat. You are surrounded, and you are covered. Think of it like this: your life has been a garden through many seasons. You have planted seeds of faith with trembling hands, watered them with tears, and waited under cloudy skies. But now, the rain has arrived. The angels are the wind that carries the fragrance of new beginnings. They blow away the dust of disappointment, clear the weeds of worry, and prepare the ground for divine growth. Everything that once seemed barren is about to bloom. And as heaven's messengers fulfill their mission, you have a role too, to remain open, grateful, and aligned. Gratitude keeps the gates open, faith keeps the flow steady. This is the moment to partner with heaven in joy. When you share light, heaven multiplies it. When you bless others, heaven amplifies it. Every act of generosity, every word of encouragement, every offering you release becomes a signal to heaven, I am ready for more. That's why, if this message is stirring something within you, I invite you to take a simple step of agreement. Let your actions mirror your gratitude. Like this message, if it resonates with your spirit, share it so that someone else, perhaps another weary soul fighting a silent battle, can feel seen, just as you have today. Subscribe if you haven't, not for numbers or fame, but because every time this community gathers, heaven's message travels farther. And if you feel led to give, to sow back into the stream that pours life into you, do it as a symbolic act, like placing a seed in fertile ground. Your generosity keeps the river flowing, ensuring that others will drink from the same well that refreshed you. This isn't about obligation, it's about overflow. When you support light, you become part of its radiance. When you sow into what feeds your soul, you are not losing, you are multiplying. Think of it as oil poured into a lamp. The more you pour, the brighter the flame. And as you do, your angels will keep working, moving silently, fighting fiercely, ensuring that what was promised to you finds its way into your hands. So, walk boldly, knowing heaven has mobilized on your behalf. You are surrounded by divine help, and your obedience has activated heaven's army. The night you felt most alone was the night heaven sent reinforcements. And now, you are entering the season where divine assistance becomes visible. Your angels are already ahead of you, preparing every step of your journey. There were days when you wondered if heaven had forgotten your name. You prayed, you waited, and still the answer did not come. You watched others move forward while you stood still, and the silence felt unbearable. But, chosen one, not all silence is neglect. Some silence is divine strategy. God was not withholding, he was arranging. What looked like delay was heaven's protection in disguise. You see, if certain doors had opened earlier, you would have walked into places unprepared, surrounded by people who could not handle your destiny. God's silence was not rejection, it was redirection. The waiting stretched you, refined you, and revealed who was truly for you. You were learning to lean, not on results, but on the voice that whispered, "Be still." You wanted progress, but heaven was building patience. You wanted answers, but God was building alignment. There is a rhythm in the divine process, and every delay carries design. The pauses are not punishment, they are preparation rooms. Heaven was behind the scenes, removing counterfeits, rearranging timelines, and setting the stage for your appearance. What you called a setback was really set up. Your waiting season was not wasted time, it was sacred time. Many people give up in the middle of delay. They assume God has gone quiet. But in reality, He is working most deeply in the unseen. Think of a seed buried underground. For a while, it looks lifeless. But beneath the surface, roots are expanding. The darker it gets, the deeper the foundation grows. That's you. Your roots had to reach depths before your fruit could rise high. When you prayed for breakthrough, God first built endurance. When you asked for blessing, He prepared you to handle it. What good is elevation if the foundation is fragile? The delay made you durable. You learned to hear God in silence, to trust Him without confirmation, to walk even when the path was dim. And now, because you've waited well, you will receive what others rushed and lost. Heaven is very intentional with timing, even when you saw nothing. Angels were moving pieces into place. There were conversations that had to happen, hearts that had to change, and obstacles that had to shift. If the door didn't open, it's because God was protecting the promise from contamination. You are not behind, you are right on schedule. As the prophet declared long ago in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "Though it linger, wait for it, it will certainly come and will not delay." That's heaven's assurance to you. It may seem slow, but it is sure. Divine timing never fails. Every second of waiting is accounted for. Every moment of silence carries meaning. The promise cannot expire when heaven holds the clock. Chosen one. The delay was divine. And now that heaven's timing has matured, the answers that once seemed locked are being released. You'll start to see movement where there was stillness, doors where there were walls, opportunities where there was emptiness. The same God who seemed silent is now speaking loudly through results. What once felt like nothing happening will soon overflow with everything changing. But remember this, the way you waited will determine how you rise. Because you didn't curse the delay, heaven will bless the delivery. Because you remained faithful, heaven will reward you fully. Your patience became prophecy. Your stillness became strategy. Heaven has always been watching. And now, the hour of release has come. You will begin to notice divine coincidences, numbers, names, encounters, small miracles that confirm alignment. Do not dismiss them. They are heaven's breadcrumbs, guiding you toward the fulfillment of what was once delayed. The promise is coming, not in fragments, but in fullness. You waited long, but you will not wait in vain. So take this moment, right where you are, and let gratitude rise. Say quietly in your spirit, "God, thank you for every delay that protected me." Let heaven hear your trust louder than your impatience. Because now, everything that lingered is about to unfold. And if your heart bears witness that this message was meant for you, if you can feel the truth stirring in your soul, then act in faith. Comment below the number 555. It is the prophetic symbol of divine change and heavenly release. Type it as your declaration that the delay is over and transformation has begun. When you write that number, you're not responding to coincidence, you're responding to confirmation. Heaven sees, heaven hears, and heaven moves when faith speaks. The delay was divine, the waiting was worth it, and the unfolding has already begun. There are moments in your journey when everything around you feels like a test, when what you thought was stable begins to shake, and every answer you once relied on seems to vanish. This, chosen one, is not coincidence. It is divine examination. Heaven does not test to expose weakness. Heaven tests to reveal strength. Every trial you faced was not designed to destroy you, but to prove what heaven already knew about you, that your faith is real. You've walked through the fire and didn't realize that heaven was grading your endurance. You've been tested by loss, by betrayal, by disappointment, and by waiting. You've been tested by the silence of God and the noise of the world. But through it all, you kept showing up. You kept praying when it hurt, believing when it seemed foolish, and standing when everything around you suggested surrender. That's not ordinary courage, that's divine resilience. Tests reveal truth. They separate imitation from authenticity. And yours has been the kind of faith that holds even when it trembles. Every test you've endured has refined your discernment. You've learned to tell the difference between voices, what is of God and what is of distraction. You've learned to recognize the counterfeit blessings that come dressed as opportunities but lead to destruction. You have matured spiritually in ways you couldn't have without pressure. Heaven uses testing seasons as the classroom of destiny. Every challenge has been a teacher, every heartbreak a syllabus, every unanswered prayer a lecture in trust. You've been sitting in Heaven's Academy, learning through pain what you could never learn through ease. The test was not punishment, it was promotion in disguise. Do you remember when you thought you had lost everything? The people you loved walked away. The plans you made collapsed, and you felt stripped down to nothing. That was your Job moment. When God allows what you lean on to be removed so that you discover what cannot be taken, your faith. Job lost everything, but he didn't lose his worship. And that's what you did. You kept worshipping through the wreckage. And heaven took note. It is one thing to praise God when life is good. It is another to trust Him when it feels like He's silent. You've done that. You've proven that your love for Him isn't based on blessings, but on relationship. You didn't serve for reward, you served out of devotion. That is why heaven now calls you trustworthy. Tests also reveal identity. When Abraham was asked to sacrifice Isaac, it wasn't because God needed proof of loyalty. He already knew Abraham's heart. It was so Abraham would see for himself the depth of his faith. Likewise, your trials have revealed who you truly are. You've seen yourself rise from ashes. Forgive the unforgivable. Love without return, and keep your integrity when compromise seemed easier. You are not who you used to be. Every test has carved character into you, shaping your spirit into one who cannot be shaken. And now, something sacred happens after testing the shift from trial to testimony. Heaven never allows prolonged testing without eventual reward. The same way Jesus endured 40 days in the wilderness before stepping into his public mission. Your wilderness season was preparation. You were being stripped of distractions so that when the time came, You could carry the weight of destiny without it crushing you. We find in the writings of James, in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 3, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. That verse is not simply instruction, it is confirmation. Every hardship you faced has been multiplying endurance within you. Perseverance is not given, it is grown. And now, that strength will become your stability in the days to come. You may not realize it yet, but this season of testing has already produced treasures within you. You have wisdom that only warfare can give. You have patience that only delay can grow. You have peace that only chaos can teach. You've become the kind of person who doesn't panic when storms come, because you've already survived worse. When heaven tests you, it is because heaven intends to trust you with more. The test wasn't about breaking you, it was about proving you ready for greater responsibility. You've shown heaven that you can handle weight with worship, pressure with prayer, and trials with trust. And for that reason, new authority is being released to you. Your voice carries more power now because it comes from experience, not theory. You don't just talk about faith, you embody it. So, even if you still feel the residue of old battles, take comfort. The hardest exams often precede the greatest graduations. You are standing at the end of a long test, and heaven has already written, approved beside your name. The testing was necessary. The tears were part of training, and the endurance you gained will serve you for the rest of your journey. The test is over. Chosen one. The lesson remains, and the reward is near. You never saw it. Chosen one. But there were invisible wars being fought because of your obedience. While you wept, the heavens moved. Every time you resisted bitterness, every time you forgave those who hurt you, every time you kept your heart pure when you had every reason to give in to darkness, you were winning battles that couldn't be seen. There are victories that make no sound, victories that happen in prayer closets, victories that shift bloodlines and rewrite generational stories. Yours was one of them. You fought wars that no one applauded you for. There were days when the struggle was inward, silent wars between faith and fear, between hope and exhaustion. No one saw the wrestling, yet heaven recorded every moment. The enemy expected your silence to become surrender, but it became strength instead. Each time you chose peace over anger, each time you chose prayer over complaint, the foundations of darkness trembled. You didn't even realize that the atmosphere shifted because of your decisions. You see, obedience is one of the most powerful forms of warfare. It dismantles curses and builds altars of light. There were assignments sent to break you, patterns meant to repeat your ancestors' pain. But your simple yes to God disrupted them all. You ended what began before you and opened what generations after you will inherit. The warfare was never just about you, it was about legacy. The enemy fears those who obey, even when it costs them everything. You obeyed when it was painful, when it was unpopular, when it made no sense. And because of that, invisible chains broke. You may have felt small, but every act of surrender made heaven thunder. Every time you whispered, "I still trust you, Lord," heaven responded with authority. You were tearing down structures of darkness that had stood for decades. The truth is, you never needed to see the victory to have won it. The proof is in your peace. Look at how different your spirit feels now compared to before the storm. The heaviness that once followed you has lifted. You may not know when it happened, but something broke. That silent battle you fought through tears, through loneliness, through confusion, shifted the spiritual climate around you. Heaven watched as you stood firm when everything around you wavered. You were tempted to compromise, tempted to quit, tempted to go back to what was familiar, but you didn't. That's why the enemy grew quiet. He realized he couldn't reach you anymore. You outlasted the darkness. That's what true victory looks like, not triumph over others, but mastery over yourself. And now, because you have stood, a new authority rests upon you. The angels who once fought for you now walk beside you. You are no longer just surviving battles, you are commanding atmospheres. There's a stillness in your spirit that comes only after warfare. It's the peace of those who know that nothing can touch them unless heaven allows it. Heaven speaks clearly through the words of Moses. In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 20, verse 4, "For the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give you victory." That promise wasn't just ancient history, it's your reality. The same God who fought for Israel fights for you. Every battle you faced, he stood within it. Every unseen war you survived, he won beside you. You are walking proof that obedience is greater than power, that surrender is stronger than resistance. You didn't have to raise your hand against anyone. Your holiness was enough to terrify the darkness. Your light became a weapon. Every step you took in faith cut through demonic strategies. Look back for a moment, and you'll realize everything that once sought to destroy you only pushed you deeper into purpose. What was meant to silence you made you louder in spirit. What was designed to end you actually revealed you. You are not the same person who entered the storm. You carry a sharper discernment, a deeper compassion, and a peace that nothing can steal. There is beauty in invisible victory. You won battles that no one congratulated you for, and that's what makes them holy. Heaven clapped in secret. Angels rejoiced in silence. And now, the reward for those hidden victories is unfolding in your life. Doors are opening not because of what you've done publicly, but because of what you conquered privately. Never forget this truth. Chosen one, your greatest victories will often go unseen by human eyes. They are recorded in heaven, and their echo continues long after the battle is over. Every act of faithfulness, every prayer whispered through tears, every moment of unseen obedience, it all mattered. You fought well. You won quietly, and heaven remembers loudly. There comes a moment, chosen one, when heaven decides that the exchange must take place, when the tears you sowed in secret must become the joy you harvest in public. You have reached that moment. The pain you endured was never wasted. It was an investment. You deposited sorrow into heaven's account. And now interest has matured. The divine exchange has begun. The principle of heaven is always balance. What was taken must be restored. What was broken must be rebuilt. For every season of loss, there is a season of recompense, and you are standing at the doorway of divine reversal, where the currency of pain is being converted into the wealth of purpose. You will not leave this season empty-handed. There is something sacred about those who suffer silently, yet refuse to curse God. You held on to faith when it felt foolish, and heaven noticed. Every time you said, "I trust you," while tears ran down your face, you were writing checks of faith that are now being cashed in full. Your obedience was the seed, and your reward is now blooming. The book of Isaiah speaks of this mystery with unshakable clarity. In the book of Isaiah, Chapter 61, verse 3. He gives beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, a garment of praise for heaviness. Those are not poetic metaphors, they are divine transactions. Heaven never takes without giving back more. What was burned is being reborn. What was lost is being multiplied. The weight that once crushed you will now crown you. There were moments when you thought, nothing good can come from this pain. But if only you could see the heavenly ledger. Every tear became a line item. Every heartbreak became a reason for restoration. Heaven's economy doesn't operate like Earth's, it trades in faith, not currency. And you, chosen one, have deposited enough faith to shift your generation. The divine exchange is not always visible at first. It begins subtly, in peace, in perspective, in unexpected favor. The same heart that once carried sorrow begins to radiate strength. You start to understand why it had to happen, and the bitterness loses its grip. You forgive where you once resented. You bless where you once blamed. That's how the exchange starts internally, before it manifests externally. Look around your life, and you'll begin to notice it. Situations that once drained you now empower you. Conversations that used to hurt now bring healing. Even memories that once triggered pain now remind you of grace. That is the sign that the divine exchange is underway. Heaven is taking what was meant for destruction and turning it into construction material for your destiny. The reason this exchange feels different is because it's not partial, it's total. God is not just restoring what you lost, He's upgrading what remains. The joy you will experience will not simply replace the sorrow, it will outweigh it. Your new blessings will carry the fragrance of the old battles, reminding you that you survived for a reason. There's a divine law at work right now. Nothing you gave up in obedience will return void. The friendships you lost, the opportunities that slipped away, the prayers that seemed unanswered, they're all circling back in a higher form. Heaven never subtracts without multiplying. You are being compensated not only for your loss, but for the time you endured it. You've reached the stage where heaven whispers, enough mourning. Now move forward. The sackcloth is being exchanged for celebration. The language of survival is shifting to the language of success. You will no longer be defined by what you endured, but by what you became through it. And when others ask how you managed to keep faith through all that pain, you will smile and say, I didn't trade my faith for comfort. I traded my pain for promise. That is the divine exchange. Heaven never forgets a faithful fighter. If your heart knows this is your moment, if you feel a stirring deep inside, confirming that your exchange has begun, then respond in faith. Comment below, I choose joy. Type it not as a wish, but as a decree. When you say those 3 words, you are announcing to heaven and to the atmosphere that you are done mourning over what's gone. You are ready to embrace the joy that is rightfully yours. Each time you declare it, the old residue of sorrow loses its hold, and new joy begins to settle into your spirit. I choose joy is not denial, it is destiny. It means you understand that your losses were not punishments, but prerequisites for promotion. And now, heaven confirms your exchange has taken place. You have given God your ashes, He is giving you beauty. You have given Him your tears, He is giving you triumph. You have given Him your brokenness, He is giving you breakthrough. There is movement in the spirit realm. Chosen one, the decrees have been signed, the seals broken, and the words that once hovered in waiting are now taking form. Heaven has released a prophetic motion over your life, an irreversible decree that says the season of loss is finished, and restoration begins now. You may not hear trumpets or see lightning, but something divine has shifted. The air feels lighter, the silence feels full, and the waiting no longer aches the same. That is what prophecy in motion feels like. It's the soundless turning of the page in heaven's book concerning you. You've waited long enough, and the time of fulfillment has finally arrived. It's not random, it's rhythm. Heaven's promises move like tides. They rise quietly, but they never fail to reach the shore. Right now, those waves are touching your life. Things that were dormant are awakening. Dreams that were buried are stirring again. God is not just sending answers, He is sending acceleration. Everything that seemed to move slowly is about to move swiftly. The same doors that resisted you will now open with ease because the command has been issued. The angels who once waited for divine timing have now been released to deliver results. As was spoken by the prophet Joel in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years the locust has eaten. That means time itself will bow to God's redemptive power. What you thought was lost forever will return multiplied. Heaven does not simply replace, it redeems. God is not giving you back what you lost. He is giving you something so much greater that it will make sense of every tear you cried. You may begin to notice divine patterns unfolding, unexpected phone calls, forgotten dreams resurfacing, or peace where anxiety once lived. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Prophecy moves quietly but with purpose. When heaven decrees, creation responds. Mountains shift, hearts open, and opportunities align. Everything in the universe begins to work in favor of the one heaven has spoken for, and that one is you. This is your season of reintroduction. The world will see you again, but not as the one who was broken, overlooked, or delayed. You are being unveiled as the one who endured, the one who remained faithful, the one who carries the fragrance of grace. Your pain prepared your platform. The places that once rejected you will now request you. The same people who questioned your silence will soon witness your overflow. But as this prophecy unfolds, remember your participation matters. Prophecy is partnership. You must keep your heart positioned in gratitude, humility, and generosity. When heaven pours, you must pour too. When you receive light, share it. When you are blessed, become a blessing. If this message stirs something in you, if it resonates with that quiet part of your spirit that knows this is divine confirmation, take a moment to let your gratitude speak. Like this message, not for algorithmic reasons, but as a small act of agreement with heaven's rhythm. Share it so that another soul walking through the shadows might catch this same light of hope. Every share becomes a seed, one that carries light farther than you imagine. And if you haven't yet joined this growing circle of faith, subscribe. Stay connected to the words that keep your spirit strong. This isn't about building numbers, it's about building altars. Places where heaven and hearts meet through truth. Each subscription is a candle lit, another flame in this global tapestry of faith. Finally, if you feel led to give, to sow into the stream that keeps this voice flowing across the nations, let it come from a place of worship, not obligation. A donation is not a transaction, it's participation. It's like dropping a pebble into a river. The ripples reach far beyond your sight. Your generosity helps the message reach hearts you may never meet, but who need this same reminder God still restores. Think of it like a garden. Every time you pour out gratitude, share light, or give support, you water seeds in this field of faith. And in time, the harvest that comes back to you will be abundant, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Heaven has always multiplied what is given with sincerity. So, as you step into this new motion of prophecy, walk softly but boldly. The same hand that wrote your suffering has written your restoration. The decree has been signed. Your name is on heaven's scroll. You are no longer waiting for prophecy, you are walking inside of it. The tide is turning. The words are manifesting. The promise is now alive. There are moments, chosen one, when the invisible becomes undeniable. The atmosphere begins to hum with recognition, and even nature seems to whisper, "It has begun." The signs are subtle, but to the spiritually awake, they are unmistakable. You are stepping into days marked by divine confirmation, little glimmers that heaven has turned its face toward you in favor. When God moves, He often speaks through patterns. You will start to see numbers that echo what He has promised, divine alignments that no coincidence can explain. You may wake at the same hour each night and feel a quiet stirring in your chest. You might hear familiar words in unexpected places, phrases that mirror what your spirit has been hearing in prayer. These are heaven's fingerprints, pressed gently into your daily life. In the coming days, your dreams will sharpen. They will no longer be chaotic fragments, but clear, symbolic messages. Heaven is speaking through the language of vision again. Pay attention to the colors, the names, the moments of peace or unease within them. Dreams are not just imaginations of the mind, they are the conversations of the spirit. Heaven will use them to confirm direction, to close old chapters, and to introduce new ones. And it will not stop there. You will begin to encounter divine interruptions, people appearing in your path at just the right time. Words spoken to you that pierce your soul with recognition. These are not random meetings, they are divine appointments. God is weaving connections that will pull you forward into the next phase of your assignment. The signs won't always look miraculous. Sometimes they will look ordinary. But when you see them with the eyes of the Spirit, you'll realize nothing is ordinary anymore. Even a single text message, a sudden memory, or a brief delay might carry divine purpose. Heaven hides revelation in simplicity so that only the attentive will see. And you, chosen one, have learned to see differently. When your spirit begins to sense this movement, don't rush to analyze it. Just rest in awareness. Let gratitude be your response. The more thankful you become, the clearer the signs will appear. Gratitude tunes the soul to heaven's frequency. When your heart remains humble and receptive, you'll begin to notice that God's confirmations come not just once, but in layers repeated until peace settles within you like sunlight after rain. Some of these signs will challenge you. They may ask you to release something comfortable, to step into something unfamiliar. But remember, confirmation doesn't always mean comfort. Sometimes, heaven confirms change, not stability. It reveals that the nest you once rested in has served its purpose and that your wings are ready for open skies. As the Spirit revealed through the Apostle Peter on the day of Pentecost, in the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 17, "In the last days, I will pour out my Spirit on all people, your sons and daughters will prophesy, Your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams. You are living in those very days. The Spirit has been poured out, and now it stirs within you, calling your attention toward heaven's unfolding agenda. Do not dismiss what your heart feels. If something stirs you with peace and divine urgency, it is often the Spirit speaking. The confirmations will not only come externally, they will also echo internally. You will feel sudden clarity, like fog lifting from the soul. You'll know what to do next without panic or fear. That is how divine direction feels. It does not shout, it settles. In these coming days, pay attention to repetition. The same word might appear in conversation, in scripture, in songs, even in passing signs. This repetition is heaven's way of underlining a truth meant for you. Do not overlook it. When God wants to ensure you understand something, He will confirm it 3 times through people, through peace, and through purpose. Remember, the signs are not sent to overwhelm, but to anchor. They remind you that the journey you've walked was never random. Every tear, every test, every victory, it was part of a precise, divine plan. The signs you see now are heaven's way of saying, you're aligned. Keep walking. So, when you notice the whispers of confirmation around you, don't brush them away. Let them draw you closer to reverence. Pause. Breathe. Whisper back, I hear you, Lord. That acknowledgement invites more revelation, more assurance, more divine presence. These days ahead are not ordinary days. They are prophetic days, days marked by recognition and awakening. Heaven has already declared it. The movement has begun, and your spirit will know it before your eyes can see it. You are entering a season where heaven speaks, not through thunder, but through tender whispers that only the chosen recognize. Listen carefully, for the signs are already all around you. In heaven's silence, something sacred has been happening. While you wondered if your waiting had purpose, a crown was being shaped for you in secret. It was not made of gold that tarnishes, but of oil, patience, and obedience. Every act of faith, every quiet prayer, every moment you resisted giving up, all of it became threads woven into your unseen crown. Heaven's process is never public. The anointing is poured in private before it is displayed in public. That's what's happening now. Chosen one, heaven is fitting your unseen crown. You have passed tests that most people never even saw. You have been faithful in seasons where there was no applause, no reward, no visible result. And now, the oil of recognition is being prepared to flow. You may feel unnoticed, but heaven is whispering your name in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your reputation on earth is being rewritten by heaven's handwriting. The same people who overlooked you will soon be witnesses of what God has been shaping. This isn't about fame, it's about fulfillment. When the oil touches your head, it will not elevate your ego. It will expose your assignment. The crown doesn't come to those who chase it. It comes to those who carry the cross faithfully. You didn't ask for recognition. You just wanted to survive the storm. Yet, heaven says, now is the time to reveal what was hidden. The unseen crown is becoming visible. The anointing that has been maturing quietly inside you is about to overflow into the world around you. When God anoints, He doesn't need an audience. David was crowned long before the palace knew his name. He was tending sheep when heaven's oil found him. You, too, have been in your field working, serving, waiting, and heaven has noticed. The oil has been waiting for the right alignment of time and purpose. And that alignment is now. It is written with eternal truth. In the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5, "You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows." That was not just a declaration of abundance, it was an acknowledgement of identity. The anointing means you are chosen to overflow, not just for yourself, but for others. The cup that overflows is not selfish, it is selfless. What fills you will now spill into those around you. The unseen crown carries weight. It requires humility to bear. It will draw attention. But you must remember that the purpose of the oil is not to make you shine for yourself. It's to make God visible through you. The crown is both a reward and a responsibility. You are not being elevated to escape service, but to expand it. Think of a candle crowned with flame. It glows, but its purpose is not to boast in its light. It is to illuminate darkness. The anointing on your life works the same way. The crown is the flame, and you are the candle. You burn to light paths for others. You shine to reveal God's presence in a dark world. That's why your preparation had to be hidden, because if your crown came before your character was ready, the flame would have consumed you. There is a heaviness that comes with heaven's crowns. They are not ornamental, they are functional. When God crowns, He commissions. You are being entrusted with spiritual authority, not just to speak, but to shift atmospheres. The unseen oil on your life will begin to manifest in your words, in your presence, even in your silence. People will sense peace where you once felt pain. They will find healing where you once carried wounds. You are becoming a vessel of divine overflow. Heavenly crowns are not worn on stages, they are carried through service. Every humble act you perform is a polish to your crown. Every time you forgive, it gleams brighter. Every time you love, when it's difficult, it grows heavier with glory. You may not see it yet, but the spiritual realm already recognizes your authority. Angels bow to the name of the one who anointed you. And because you carry His seal, you walk under that covering. The oil has a fragrance, and soon that fragrance will precede you. You'll enter places, and peace will arrive before you say a word. You'll speak, and hearts will soften. You'll move, and closed doors will open. That's the sign of a crowned one. Heaven's atmosphere follows them. You don't need to announce your anointing. Those who are spiritually sensitive will discern it. Those meant to walk with you will recognize it without explanation. The oil speaks louder than words. And those who once doubted your calling will have to acknowledge what heaven has placed upon you. This is your crowning hour. The moment when heaven transitions your identity from hidden to heralded. What was once preparation has now become manifestation. The same hand that molded your pain is now molding your glory. And if, as you read this, something in your spirit leaps, if you feel that inner recognition, that confirmation that heaven is truly crowning you now, respond with faith. Comment below the number 333. It is the prophetic number of divine completeness and heavenly commissioning. When you type it, you're declaring, I receive my crown with humility and purpose. Do not see it as a mere gesture. It is an act of agreement with heaven's decree. You are saying, Lord, I accept the oil. I will carry it well. I will serve with it, shine with it, and steward it faithfully. Each 333 written in faith becomes like a seal, an echo between earth and heaven, marking this moment as your coronation in the Spirit. Your unseen crown has been fitted. Your oil is ready. Step forward. Chosen one, the anointing is no longer hidden. It has begun to overflow. The world around you has started to tremble. Chosen one, not because of chaos, but because heaven is rearranging everything to make space for your rising. The shaking you feel is not punishment, it is positioning. When God begins to manifest promises, the ground beneath old foundations must quake. The familiar becomes uncomfortable so that destiny can take root. You may have thought everything was falling apart, but in truth, everything is falling into place. You see, before every revealing, there is a shaking. It is the divine law of transformation. When an earthquake moves through the earth, it does not destroy without purpose. It exposes what was weak, buried, or unstable. The same happens spiritually. The recent disruptions in your life were heaven's way of identifying what could not go with you into the next chapter. People, habits, mindsets, some had to be shaken loose so that your crown could rest firmly. It may have felt like loss, but it was liberation. Every closed door, every sudden ending, every unexpected change, it was not random. God was shaking the structure of your surroundings to prepare new soil for your seed. You cannot plant greatness in comfort. You cannot build the future on foundations cracked by old pain. That's why the shaking came to clear the ground for construction. Heaven's shaking is never cruel. It is surgical. It cuts away what would later corrupt. It separates the genuine from the counterfeit. You might not have recognized it at the time, but those moments of confusion were divine surgery, painful yet purposeful. God was not taking things from you. He was taking you from things that would have hindered your bloom. When your life began to tremble, you asked, "Lord, why now?" And heaven whispered, "Because now you can handle it." The shaking only begins when the structure is strong enough to endure. The storms that once terrified you no longer carry the same power, because you've learned how to stand in them. You've learned to worship while winds roar and to trust while everything shakes. That's maturity. That's spiritual muscle. As the writer of Hebrews revealed in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 26, "Yet once more I will shake not only the earth, but also the heavens." That shaking is not destruction, it's divine adjustment. When God shakes, He removes what is temporary so that what is eternal may remain. Everything built on insecurity, fear, or false alignment must fall away. What remains after the shaking is what was meant to last forever. If you could see from heaven's perspective, you would be in awe. What looks like instability from below looks like renovation from above. Walls are being torn down so that light can enter. Paths are being rerouted so that destiny can flow freely. Heaven is not breaking your life, it is breaking the limits that once confined it. The shaking also reveals truth about you. It exposes the strength of your faith, the purity of your motives, and the depth of your dependence on God. You have discovered that faith built on convenience collapses under pressure. But faith rooted in relationship thrives in storms. Every tremor has drawn you closer to the heart of God, anchoring you more deeply than before. When you feel everything around you trembling, do not panic, stand still and listen. The noise you hear is not chaos, it is creation. God is forming new patterns, new partnerships, and new paths in the midst of what feels like disorder. You are witnessing a holy construction site. Heaven is building your next chapter brick by brick. And sometimes, building requires breaking. Think of the way a seed transforms. Before it sprouts, the ground around it must break. The soil must move, shift, open. The pressure from above forces the seed to split. But that splitting is its birth. The same principle governs your life now. You are the seed, and the shaking is the soil's surrender to your emergence. What once covered you in darkness is now releasing you into light. There will be moments when you feel nostalgia for what was. Even if what was once hurt you, that is the nature of transition, the temptation to cling to familiarity. But you cannot reach for stability in the ruins of old seasons. Stability is found only in the presence of God, not in the patterns of yesterday. Trust that every shake is sacred. Every quake carries revelation. The shaking also changes those connected to you. Some will leave because they cannot handle the vibration of your growth. Others will stay and adjust, becoming stronger beside you. The ones who remain through the shaking are the ones heaven has chosen to build with you. When this movement finally settles, what will remain in your life will be pure, powerful, and permanent. The dust will clear, and what once looked like devastation will stand as a new landscape, wider, brighter, unshakable. You will understand then why everything had to move. You will look back at the shaking and realize it was not the end, it was the unlocking. So, stand firm. Chosen one, do not fear the shaking, for it is the sound of heaven rearranging your life to fit the weight of your calling. The tremors you feel are not a threat, they are a trumpet. They announce to the universe that a chosen one is being positioned for revelation. When the shaking stops, what remains will be glory. There is a sacred truth. Chosen one, the very place that once broke you, is the same ground from which your greatest victory will rise. You've walked through valleys that swallowed others whole, stood in ruins that whispered, "It's over." And yet, here you are, still breathing, still believing. What once represented shame will soon become the stage for your testimony. God is a master at transforming wounds into wonders. He does not discard broken places, he redeems them. The soil of suffering, when watered by faith, becomes fertile for miracles. You thought those seasons buried you, but heaven says they planted you. You are not the remnant of failure, you are the evidence of resurrection. The world saw collapse, but heaven saw construction. The ashes of your loss were never final, they were ingredients for rebuilding. It's easy to trust when life blooms, but you learn to trust among the ruins. That kind of faith carries fragrance, the aroma of endurance, the scent of sanctified sorrow turned into strength. Your comeback will not be quiet. The same places that witnessed your tears will soon echo with songs of victory. The same soil that absorbed your pain will yield fruit of promise. This is how heaven writes poetry with paradox and power. The low place becomes holy ground. You see, the divine pattern has always been this: crucifixion before resurrection, breaking before blessing. When Jesus rose, he didn't erase his scars, he displayed them. The marks were not reminders of defeat, they were proof of victory. Your scars will do the same. They will testify that you were struck but not shattered, wounded but not wasted. The prophet wrote with unshakable assurance in the book of Proverbs, chapter 24. Verse 16, though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. You are living that verse. Falling was not failure, it was formation. Each time you rose, you came back stronger, wiser, purer. The hands that once trembled in pain now carry power. The knees that once knelt in weakness now anchor in worship. The place where you fell became your training ground. That's where humility was born, where empathy deepened, where you discovered that grace doesn't just rescue, it rebuilds. You learned that being restored doesn't mean returning to what was, it means rising as something new. You are not going back to who you were before the storm. You have outgrown that version of yourself. If you could see what heaven sees, you'd marvel at your transformation. The very cracks that once made you feel fragile now allow light to shine through. The pain that humbled you became the portal through which purpose entered. You are not just recovering, you are radiating. You've become a walking sanctuary where others will find healing because you first dared to heal. When God restores, He never gives back the same thing. He always multiplies it. The relationships that return will carry peace, not confusion. The opportunities that reappear will bring joy, not exhaustion. The places that once drained you will now pour into you. Restoration is not repetition, it is elevation. You may still see remnants of the old ruins, memories, traces of sorrow, the faint ache of what was lost. Don't despise them. They remind you of the distance you've traveled and the faithfulness that carried you. Every time you revisit those places, you will feel gratitude instead of grief. The same story that once haunted you will soon inspire others. Heaven has been rewriting the narrative of your past. The chapters you wanted to skip are now becoming the foundation of your ministry, your message, your authority. You cannot lead others out of the dark unless you've learned how to navigate it yourself. That's why you went through what you did, not to be broken, but to be built. Look closely at your life, and you'll see the divine symmetry. Every loss created room for gain. Every ending made space for beginning. Every fall taught you how to rise faster. It's no coincidence that your name carries weight. Now, it's been tempered by tears, pressure, and perseverance. The world will soon see your story and call it a miracle. But heaven will call it fulfillment, because the promise was never that you wouldn't fall, it was that you would rise again, and this time, you will not fall the same way. The old traps won't catch you, the old fears won't bind you, and the old wounds won't reopen. You've been fortified. Your rise is not only personal, it's prophetic. It speaks to others who are still lying in their ruins, believing it's over. When they see your restoration, they will believe again. You are becoming living proof that God still rebuilds broken things, that light can still emerge from ashes. So don't look back in regret. Look back in revelation. Every shattered moment carried sacred instruction. Every heartbreak hid heavenly wisdom. And now, all of it converges into a single truth: you were never forsaken. You were being rewritten. The place that saw you fall will see you rise. The dust that once clung to you will testify of glory. And when people ask, "How did you survive?" you will answer, "Because grace never let go." The ruins were not the end, they were the rehearsal. The rising is now the revelation. There comes a time when hiding is no longer humility, it becomes hesitation. And heaven is saying to you, "Chosen one, step forward." The years of concealment served their purpose. The secret seasons shaped you. The hidden training built your strength. But now, heaven is calling your name aloud. This is the season to rise, to be seen, to take your place among those who carry the flame of divine purpose. You can feel it already, can't you? The quiet stirring in your spirit, the holy discomfort that refuses to let you remain where you are. That's heaven's trumpet sounding inside your soul. You've been prepared in the shadows, but you were never meant to stay there. What once was your cave of hiding is now becoming your stage of revelation. When God calls someone out, it's not for vanity, it's for visibility with purpose. You are not stepping into the spotlight. You are stepping into assignment. Your life will become a message, a living parable. Every lesson learned in the dark will shine through you as light for others still searching. The pain you endured will now preach. The silence you kept will now speak in power. You've carried words that heaven planted deep within you, truths forged in fire, waiting for their appointed time. That time is now. The world doesn't need perfection, it needs authenticity wrapped in divine fire. You are that fire. You've been through the refining, and now you burn clean, carrying light without smoke. It may feel daunting to step forward, but remember, every great call begins with trembling hands. Moses trembled before Pharaoh. Esther trembled before the king. Even Paul trembled before his first sermon. Yet through trembling obedience, they changed history. Your trembling does not disqualify you. It confirms you're human enough for God to flow through. As the prophet Isaiah declared with heavenly authority in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That is your command and your confirmation. The light has already come, it's within you, waiting to be released. You are not waiting for permission. You've already been anointed for visibility. Heaven has placed a lamp within you. And now God is removing the covering. The world is hungry for light. And your story carries the flavor of healing. When you speak, hearts will recognize truth. When you move, hope will follow. You've been entrusted with an assignment that cannot remain dormant any longer. The same Spirit that strengthened you in your wilderness will sustain you in your calling. But as you rise, stay anchored in humility. Visibility without surrender becomes vanity, but visibility with surrender becomes ministry. You are not being exalted, you are being expanded. The platform is not for applause, it's for influence that heals, teaches, and uplifts. You were never meant to be a monument, you are a movement. If these words resonate deep within you, take a moment to let gratitude fill your spirit. And if your heart feels the stirring to step forward in this divine movement, I invite you to act as a prophetic sign of agreement. Like this message, not out of routine, but as a quiet nod to heaven saying, "I'm ready." Share it, so the same call that woke you might awaken another. Somewhere, someone is still hiding in the cave you just left. Your share might be the torch that lights their exit. And if you haven't yet subscribed, do so not for numbers, but for nourishment. This isn't a channel, it's a sanctuary. Each message is a river, and those who remain connected drink from it together. Subscription keeps you anchored to the current of what heaven is releasing in this hour. If you feel led to sow, to support this flow of light, let it be as natural as breathing. Giving is not losing, it's watering the well that quenched your own thirst. Donations are seeds, and every seed carries a future. Your generosity allows the message to travel further, touching unseen hearts across borders, languages, and lives. Picture your gift as a lantern released into the night sky. It rises higher than you can see, but its light always returns multiplied. Finally, leave your mark here in the comments below. Write, "I will arise." Let those 3 words be your banner. When you type them, you're not typing to an algorithm, you're speaking to the atmosphere. You are declaring that you will no longer shrink in fear, no longer delay obedience, no longer dim the light that heaven has entrusted to you. Your comment becomes a covenant, a visible echo of your invisible yes. This is your moment, your commissioning. You are stepping into the stage heaven built before you were even born. The Spirit has called your name before witnesses both seen and unseen. The angels who guarded your process now surround your purpose. The trembling inside you is not fear, it's destiny stretching its wings. So, rise. Chosen one, let your voice carry the sound of freedom. Let your life become a sermon. The light within you was never meant to flicker, it was meant to blaze. The world is darker than ever, but that only means your glow will shine brighter. The time for hiding has passed. The stage of purpose has been prepared. The oil has already been poured, and heaven is waiting for your step forward. There is a sacred mystery surrounding covenant. Chosen one. It is not a contract written in ink, nor a promise sealed with words. It is an eternal bond written in spirit, marked in light, and confirmed in heaven. You are not merely called, you are sealed. This seal is not visible to the natural eye, but every realm recognizes it. Darkness knows it cannot touch you, and heaven knows you belong to its lineage. You may not have realized it, but all throughout your journey, the tears, the endurance, the waiting, the warfare, heaven was weaving a covenant around you. It was not built in a moment of triumph, but forged in moments of surrender. Each time you said, "Lord, I still trust you," even when life fell apart. Another layer of divine agreement wrapped itself around your soul. You were being marked, not by your pain, but by your persistence in faith. This covenant means you are no longer living by chance, you are walking under assignment. Every step you take echoes with divine intention. Your life is not random, your survival not accidental. The seal upon you declares, "This one is mine." You have become a vessel of purpose, carrying heaven's imprint in a world starving for truth. The covenant also changes how heaven responds to you. When you pray, your voice carries authority. When you declare, creation listens. You are not begging for blessings, you are enforcing promises already written. Heaven hears you as one of its own, not as a stranger seeking favor, but as a son or daughter reclaiming inheritance. That's what the seal of covenant does. It shifts you from petition to possession. As the Apostle Peter wrote with divine conviction in the first book of Peter, chapter 2, verse 9, "You are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people of God." This is not poetic flattery, it is spiritual identity. You are part of a royal lineage that cannot be erased by failure or circumstance. The covenant was not based on your perfection, it was based on His promise. The moment you were chosen, heaven began to reorder everything around you to align with destiny. That's why certain friendships couldn't last, why certain doors stayed closed, why certain paths felt narrow. You are walking a covenant path, not a convenient one. The seal upon you demands separation from what contaminates your spirit. It will not allow you to settle where you do not belong. The discomfort you felt in old spaces was divine agitation, pushing you toward the soil of promise. Covenant also means covering. There are moments you were spared from dangers you never even saw. Accidents that should have happened didn't. Words meant to harm you lost their power mid-air. You've been walking under a shadow that isn't darkness but protection, the wings of covenant. You are not untouchable because you are strong. You are untouchable because you are sealed. But remember this: chosen one covenant is not only privilege, it is participation. You are a partner in divine work. What heaven pours into you, you must pour out. The seal on your life comes with an assignment to stand as light where shadows gather, to intercede when others retreat, to carry peace where chaos reigns. The mark on your soul is not meant for pride, but for purpose. This is why battles come harder for you. The enemy doesn't fight the common, he fights the consecrated. But the covenant makes you unbreakable. Every strike against you becomes proof of what you carry. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it's recognition. Heaven does not waste its seal on those who will remain silent. It marks those who will move mountains. Look around, and you'll notice how your life has been preserved through seasons others didn't survive. That's not coincidence, it's covenant continuity. The same hand that wrote your name in heaven's registry keeps guiding you even when you wander. The covenant cannot be erased, for it is sealed in the blood of the Lamb, the most unshakable signature in existence. So, walk with quiet confidence. You are not like the rest, you are set apart. The world may not understand your restraint, your peace, or your perseverance, but heaven recognizes it. You walk among men, but you belong to the divine. This covenant is your armor, your inheritance, and your identity. It whispers through every storm, "You are mine." It stands as your defense when doubt shouts loud, and it ensures that no matter what tomorrow brings, your destiny is untouchable because your name is written in eternal ink. On the night of December 8, heaven took notice of a silent battle that few understood. It was not the noise of your pain that reached the throne, it was the purity of your perseverance. And now, the time of hidden struggle has met the hour of divine unveiling. This is the season where what God saw in secret will begin to manifest in the open. Your reward has already been released. It is only waiting for your steps to catch up with it. You've spent years fighting battles no one clapped for, planting seeds that took longer to bloom than you expected. You carried faith like a torch through the fog of uncertainty. And though it sometimes flickered, you never let it die. Every act of endurance, every quiet yes to God, every surrender in the dark, it all became the blueprint for your breakthrough. Heaven was never absent, it was architecting. Now, the unveiling begins, not as a sudden spotlight, but as a dawn. Light does not rush. It reveals gradually, honoring each detail as it returns color to the world. That's what's happening with you. God is revealing you piece by piece your gifts, your calling, your voice, your influence, so that you are not overwhelmed by glory, but strengthened by grace. There is a beauty in divine timing. It ensures that when the moment of manifestation comes, you are ready to hold it. Unprepared blessing can become burden. but you have been forged for this. Every season of obscurity refined your motives. Every delay purified your intentions. What you thought was punishment was preservation. Heaven kept you hidden until recognition could no longer harm you. The unveiling does not mean a change in who you are, it means a change in who can see you. Those who once doubted you will now discern the divine mark upon your life. Those who dismissed your voice will soon seek your wisdom. This is not vindication for pride's sake, it is revelation for purpose's sake. God is not proving you right, He is proving Himself faithful. When He rewards, He does not pay in the currency of the world. He rewards in peace that cannot be shaken, joy that cannot be stolen, and purpose that cannot be replaced. The reward you are stepping into is not merely material, it is dimensional. It touches every layer of your existence, spirit, soul, and body. What was once fragmented will now move in harmony. The divine unveiling is never about display, it's about destiny. You will find yourself in conversations, opportunities, and environments that feel orchestrated, almost too aligned to be coincidence. That's because they aren't coincidence, they are divine choreography. Every thread is being pulled together to form the tapestry of your testimony. It is written with eternal assurance. In the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 6, your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you openly. Those words are your confirmation. The same God who witnessed your struggle now ushers you into visibility. The reward is not a transaction, it is transformation. It is the shift from obscurity to authority, from endurance to evidence. The unveiling will not come with noise, but with clarity. You'll wake up one day and realize that peace has replaced panic. Clarity has replaced confusion. And doors are opening that you didn't even knock on. The things that once felt unreachable will now come seeking you. It's not luck, it's alignment. Heaven does not rush revelation. The process of unveiling follows rhythm, not haste. You'll begin to notice how every lesson you learned in hardship becomes relevant now. Every skill developed in obscurity becomes valuable. Every prayer whispered in fear becomes power in your voice. The reward isn't separate from the journey, it is the journey, redeemed and radiant. This unveiling will also carry weight. With visibility comes responsibility. With recognition comes refinement. You will have to guard your heart more carefully. For not every applause aligns with heaven's affirmation. Yet even in exposure, you will remain anchored. The same God who hid you for a season will hold you through success. You are entering the portion of your story where heaven's remembrance becomes earth's recognition. It will not happen overnight, but it will happen undeniably. The light of this new era will reveal not only what God has done for you, but also what He has built within you. Your reward is not distant, it is unfolding even now. Every day will reveal another layer of what was promised. Every breath will remind you that the pain was not wasted. And as this chapter of unveiling continues, one truth will echo louder than all others: you were seen all along. December 8 marked your night of recognition. The seasons that follow will reveal your restoration. Heaven has declared it, and now the earth will echo it. The chosen has been revealed. And now, beloved chosen one, the message has come full circle. The night heaven saw your silent battle has become the dawn of your reward. Every word you've read was never random, it was written for you, waiting for this very moment of recognition. You are not the same person who began this journey. You have been awakened, anointed, and aligned. This is not the end, it's the unveiling of a new beginning. What heaven started on December 8 will ripple through every part of your future. The tests, the tears, the waiting, it all led here to revelation. You are walking proof that grace is stronger than grief and that the light within you is unquenchable. If these words have touched your spirit, take a quiet moment to respond with gratitude. Let your agreement be seen in simple acts that echo faith, like this message, as a symbol of alignment. Share it so another soul might find their reminder of hope. And comment below something from your heart, a phrase, a truth, even a single word that captures what this message stirred in you. Your words might become the key someone else needs to unlock courage again. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, not for the sake of numbers, but as an act of staying connected to the stream that continues to pour light. Each message here is a whisper from heaven, a reminder that you are never forgotten, never alone. This is your moment of acknowledgement. Heaven has declared it. Earth will echo it. And now you carry it forward. Walk in confidence, crowned with peace. The same God who saw your silent battle will walk with you into every victory that follows.